You are listening to Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum. Thank you for joining me again and making this podcast one of your choices. I'm sure you have a lot of choices out there. And, we've been doing this podcast for a while before the floodgates open with all the people trying to do podcasts. And, we've been doing it. And I hope you enjoy it. And I hope you're here not only for Zach Braff, but if you enjoy it, you continue to listen and give our podcast a chance. The handle's Ryan.
Oh my God. At Inside of You Pod on Twitter, at Inside of You Podcast on Instagram and Facebook.
Yes. And we have my Instagram at the Michael Rosenbaum. You get on my link tree for Cameo and the Inside of You online store, which has Smallville scripts and Smallville ship keys and t-shirts and awesome new tumblers. And check out the Inside of You online store. And right here, well, I don't have it anymore, but it's a Rosie's Puppy Fresh Breath. It's available on Amazon if you want your dogs to have good breath. I was always telling people, it's like, gosh, I wish my dogs had puppy fresh breath. And so finally I go, hey, Tom, my buddy Tom Lally. I said, Tom, let's do this product. And it's been doing well. And you can get it on Amazon. And what's cool is it's odorless and tasteless. So your dog's not going to, when you just put a capful in your dog's water, they're not going to go, ooh, what's this?
Yeah.
It's just like water. They're not going to notice the difference and their breath's going to be better. So
right.
Rosie's Puppy Fresh Breath. And my fart book is on Amazon. It's on pre-order. Pre-order it now. There's a lot of people been posting about it, and it's really charming and fun. It's not just a fart book, but they're my farts. And it's called The Talented Farter, available on Amazon. So please pick up that. It's a great tabletop fun book. It's a holiday gift. It's a birthday gift. It's for kids. It's for everyone. And pretty awesome stuff. And Tom Welling and I will be at tons of cons, the Rose City Con. So check that out. We're doing a Smallville Nights on Saturday night. We're doing Tampa Bay, if you're in Tampa Bay. And Ryan and Tom and I will be at Creation Smallville, the first Smallville Con. Get tickets now. They're selling out. It's in New Jersey in October. And a lot of people are going. My patrons, my lovable patrons will be there, a lot of them. So go to, if you want to support the podcast, which is the biggest thing, if you really picture it as a subscription for a streamer, but like you could donate $1, but anything helps. And it's Patreon, Patreon, patreon.com/inside of you to join. And the top tiers get packages from me and they get their name shouted out every episode. Great guest today, Ryan.
Yeah.
He's been on before, but this was different. I don't know. He was in person.
Yeah.
I like Zach a lot. He's, you could tell he's just a really good dude, solid dude. And he has an incredible work ethic. I think he works too hard.
You did say this afterwards.
But. And he's so passionate about this movie that he directed, A Good Person. And he should be, because it meant a lot. When I watched it, I was floored. The ending, I was emotional. And we talk about that, and we talk about a lot of other stuff that he's doing. And he's an open book, We talk about his ex. We talk about how they're friends now. We talk about losing his dad. It was emotional. It was cool. It was refreshing. So why don't we just get into it, Ryan?
Let's do it.
Let's get inside of Zach Braff.
It's my point of view. You're listening to Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum.
Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum was not recorded in front of a live studio audience. You interviewed Billy D. Williams, too.
Oh, he did.
And you did it over Zoom, which I told you wasn't easy because you got to get to know him.
It's hard. I would say this. You're obviously way more professional at interviewing people. You have the 40,000 hours. Donald and I do this podcast, Fake Doctors, Real Friends. We were doing a Scrubs rewatch podcast. It's been so much fun. Now we're at episodes. We want to keep it going. So we have interesting people on. But when it comes to someone like Billy D over Zoom, he's a man of a certain age. He's sort of soft-spoken. You'd probably be way more suited to interview someone like that and get a good interview out of him.
You say that. Here's the thing. Were you here, Ryan, for that? Billy? All right. So I was a little nervous because, the stature, and he's very calm and he's very articulate and he's very, he's not excitable like I am.
Right.
And so it I could tell in the beginning, he was kind of looking at me like, do you really, you want to know this?
Right.
Is this something like, and I was like, yeah, I think people would really want to hear this.
Yeah.
And About 15 minutes in, I noticed him warming up.
Yeah.
And then he was smiling and
But that's you being good at what you...
No, I think it's...
Over Zoom,
but it's in
hard.
person.
Yeah,
It
over
helps.
Zoom, it's hard.
It's hard. And it's two people.
We never do it in person just because it's our schedules and stuff. But I do love it. I got to say, I'm loving... Obviously, a comedian coming on is great because, they're just going to bring it and be funny. We've also had a sex therapist on who was incredible. We had a couples therapist on. What?
I got to have a sex therapist.
This woman was the best guest. I'll send you her information. She was unflappable. And Donald and I had so many questions. She does it with her husband, even though he's not the sex therapist. He's there to sort of provide the male point of view. They were great guests. And the audience loved it because it was, even though it's Fake Doctors, Real Friends. So we try and do some things that are related to self-help and medicine and doctors. Yeah. But also relationship stuff. And that's the stuff I really like. When I get a big celebrity on them, I get nervous. I get nervous. Like,
I do too.
And so
I'm nervous right now.
No, you're not nervous with me. But if it's a comedian, I know, okay, this is easy. They're going to be funny. It'll be relatively easy. Or if it's someone who's goes on podcasts, a sex therapist, her thing is spreading her message, selling her books, and going on podcasts. So she's a great guest.
Yeah. I think I would have asked her about the anus, more questions about the anus.
I don't want to talk to your audience about the anus.
No, but I'm saying I would have.
We didn't go too deep into the anus.
Do you miss Scrubs?
Yeah, aspects of it. I see the people a lot. I miss laughing every day. Belly laughing every day was the job. And when that goes away, by the time 9 years were over, we were sort of all exhausted by it. Just the hours of it.
Nobody made you laugh anymore?
No, I just mean, I felt like at the time we were starting to repeat jokes. Everyone was pretty fried. This was back in the day, and I'm sure you did this on Smallville, where we would do insane hours that people don't even do anymore.
No.
We didn't really have much of a life outside of it. So we were just kind of fried,
Mm-hmm.
But now looking back, and there's talk of sort of reboots, and that's a conversation. I think, oh my gosh, being able to laugh with these people, belly laugh with these people again, would be a lot of fun.
Because some actors would say that was a time, and that's over, and it was great, and just moving on. But many people probably wouldn't want to say, yeah, I would do that show again. I would do a reboot. I'm coming now. Maybe if it's presented as one show, one off.
Yeah, it's a limited thing. I don't want to, when we signed up to do our shows, they can put you under a pretty insane contract of 7 years and stuff, which I wouldn't do. But some sort of talk of a limited thing, you're basically saying, do you want to go get the gang back together and fucking laugh your ass off with some of your best friends and be paid well? Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, and I don't think that a lot of people, when they leave a show, are best friends with the people they worked with. That doesn't happen often.
Right.
It's fake friends. It's like, oh yeah, I worked with him. I did, but it's obvious. Your show,
Absolutely.
Everybody was just really.
But
tight.
not only that, it's not just me and Donald who were best friends, but I just vacationed with Sarah Chalk in Montauk.
Jesus,
Bill Lawrence and I. Sauna and cold plunge every other day together.
You directed a Ted Lasso.
I directed the second episode of all time of Ted Lasso. I direct Shrinking right now, which are Bill's shows. I should plug Bad Monkey, which is coming out, which is his new show with Vince Vaughn.
Jesus.
So we're all Johnny C. McGinley. I'm still super close with. Obviously, Kristen Miller, who's Bill's wife. We're all super close.
Was it the best experience? Do you think, if you had to pick one particular time in your life, was it the Scrubs?
Yeah,
it was.
It changed my whole life. I mean, I was a waiter. I was waiting tables, and then not only did I get Scrubs, but then there was this momentum, and then I then was able to get my own film made, Garden State, and it was just I had the most insane life turnaround from PAing and waiting tables to starring in a hit comedy and making my own movie.
Were you always this driven? Because I'm like, how does he have the energy to do all these things? We're going to talk about A Good Person. We're going to talk about, Ted Lasso. We're going to talk about all these. You're always shrinking. You're directing. You're writing. You're producing. You're acting. It's I look at you. I'm like, God, what a great career. Handsome guy, talented. He's got money. but I don't want your life. It's too busy for me. You've got too much going on for me.
I have anxiety when I don't have a lot going on. I get stressed thinking. I just get negative about myself if I'm not hustling. And I'm at this point in my life, I'm trying to work on that. I'm trying to say, like, relax, enjoy life.
What negative things do you think of about yourself when you're not working?
That I'm being lazy, that I'm not hustling hard enough.
Where do you get that from? Where does it stem from? What does your therapist say about this, Zach?
Definitely that I should, be more present and enjoy life and not be so negative when I'm not working and seize the day and enjoy life.
But you had a good childhood.
I had a great childhood. Yeah. I don't think it comes from my childhood. I think I'm super driven. I also love working. Like, it's in our business, as you know, it's so hard to get stuff made. There's so much hustling and bullshit that has nothing to do with making stuff. So when you finally are making stuff, when you're on set, it's the best. It happens so rarely. You have to do so much bullshit to actually get there. So when you are there, it's just so, I just feel so lucky.
I want you to direct me.
I would love to direct you.
I would be so comfortable with someone like you, who's an actor and a director. But you just it was funny because I was watching your movie, A Good Person, which is awesome.
Thank you.
Listen, you guys, I'm telling you right now, every listener out there, watch this. It's poignant. It's just so, there's something you can relate to in there. I personally could relate to a lot of it. I don't have to get into it, but Morgan Freeman's character and with his son, and there's so much going on, and it's this tragic story, but also a beautiful story. And the end, I just couldn't control myself. I'm glad I was alone because nobody wants to see me cry.
I love to movie cry. I find it so cathartic.
Are you a crier?
I'm not a crier.
Are you a John crier?
I'm not a crier in real life that often, but movies and plays and the occasional TV shows really get me and move me. And I love that feeling. I love that like heartache when something is so moving. You're seeing yourself in the story, but it's not your pain. You get to experience that feeling, but from afar, and it's not your own personal pain, but you empathize so much that there's this well of emotion. I think that that's really special.
I could see you. Tell me if I'm wrong. I'm really good at this. Behind the camera, as Florence is doing one of her monologues and like crying.
Absolutely.
It's because you're very sensitive.
Well, I mean, first of all, there's so many aspects to that. You've written it. It's taken every blood, sweat, and tear you have to get it made. And then here's one of the best actresses in the world saying what you wrote beautifully. It's just,
but more important, selling it, like making you believe it.
Oh yeah, and Morgan too. Both Morgan and Florence were are they're just the best in the world, and so it's such an honor to have them saying my words. And I get this amazing cinematographer, so it's a beautiful shot, and we're there, and we've only got 25 days to make it, and she's just delivering, and you've got goosebumps all over your body. It's the greatest
25 days to make that movie.
Yeah,
it looks like
weeks,
it is a major motion picture studio release for $50-60 million.
Yeah,
more.
Thank you. It's an incredible cinematographer named Mauro Fiori, and I just that's really been most of my life. I've occasionally had a small part in some big budget thing, but everything I've done for the most part has, well, that's not true. Some of the TV shows have big budgets, but my movie stuff is scrappy. Garden State was 25 days. I even shooting, even shooting half-hour comedy TV is there's budget, but we shot an episode of Scrubs in 5 days. I directed a bunch of Scrubs too. Yeah. So my experience was all in like making shit fast, getting it good and fast.
When you're giving direction to these powerhouses, to these big actors, and you did you directed the movie with Morgan before that.
Yeah, that was a remake of a movie called Going in Style
with George Burns and
the cast was Alan Arkin, Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine.
Was that challenging? Honestly, I mean, working with these guys and giving them direction, were you careful with your words and how much you said and just tried to simplify things?
I found that all actors, even if they're living legends or if they're a brand new actor, they really want a leader. And I feel that as well as an actor. If you're confident and you know your shit, I'm interested in what you have to say. And I think that you have to, of course, every morning directing Morgan Freeman, I'm giving myself a pep talk. But
Zach, if you could just be a little more specific.
That's pretty good. The funny thing with Morgan is he really only wants to do one take. So when you go after take one, when you're like, all right, everybody, that was great, let's go again, you just hear, why?
Why do we need to go
why?
again? You just said it was
No,
perfect.
you're saying way too much. It's just, why?
That's it. Inside of You is brought to you by Lumen. Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It's a device, guys, that can help measure your metabolism through your breath. I have one, all right? And on the app, it lets you know if it detects if you're burning fat or carbs and gives you tailored guidance to help improve your nutrition, workouts, sleep, and even stress management. All you have to do is breathe into your Lumen first thing in the morning, and it will tell you what it sees on your metabolism.
All you have to do is breathe into your Lumen first thing in the morning, and it will tell you what it sees is going on with your metabolism, whether you're burning mostly fats or carbs.
Yeah, then Lumen gives you a personalized nutrition plan for that day based on your measurements. You can also breathe into it before and after workouts and meals, so Lumen can tell you exactly what's going on in your body in real time, and Lumen will give you tips to keep you on top of your wellness game. It's pretty amazing. It's like technological advances. They got this thing so many people want to burn fat and carbs, and this is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It's right here for you.
Your metabolism is your body's engine. It's how your body turns the food you eat into fuel that keeps you going.
Yeah, it's telling me exactly what, in a sense, what you should be doing and what you're not doing, or what so it's right there to sort of help you make changes in your life and what you're consuming. It's pretty rad. Because your metabolism is at the center of everything your body does, optimal metabolic wellness translates to a bunch of benefits, including easier weight management, improved energy levels, better fitness results, better sleep. Lumen gives you recommendations to help improve your metabolic wellness.
It can also track your cycle as well as the onset of menopause and adjust your recommendations to keep your metabolism in good shape through hormonal shifts so you can keep up your energy and stave off cravings.
So if you want to take the next step in helping to improve your health, go to Lumen. That's Lumen, lumen.me/inside to get 15% off your Lumen. That is lumen.me/inside for 15% off your purchase. Lumen.me/inside, 15% off your Lumen. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode. These statements and products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or condition. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. BetterHelp has been with us for a long time, and there's a reason, because people are using it, and it's helping so many people. Now, does social media make it seem like everyone else is living the fabulous, amazing life while yours is not that? Comparison is the thief of joy, and it's easy to envy other people's lives. It might look like they have it all together, but in reality, they probably don't. Therapy from BetterHelp can help you focus on what you want instead of what others have, so you can start living your best life. Therapy is helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself, and it isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma. Therapy from BetterHelp can help every single one of us.
If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge.
Stop comparing and start focusing with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/inside today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/inside.
But he's partly just fucking with you because he knows you got to go again. But he does, he wants to keep it moving. So my point is that like you have to have the courage to direct them, but people really do. Actors, for the most part, want a leader. They don't want to just be left, with no idea of someone's vision.
But do you ever feel there had to be a moment on set where you're like, I don't really know what to do. I need to defer to someone else, like the DP. I don't know how do we get this shot? Or did you ever feel like a little bit lost at any time?
Yeah, of course. I mean, Going in Style was huge. I mean, that was the biggest
bank robbery.
That was big for me. I mean, I had not only have bank robbery, but I had those guys doing stunts. I mean, there's a scene in Going in Style where Michael Caine is driving one of those, electric shopping carts that old people or handicapped people ride with a basket in front, and Morgan's in the front basket, and they're driving it down a street in Brooklyn. And it was a really, I had those guys doing stunts.
You were stressed that day.
Oh yeah, that was really hard. Because not only that, I mean, just in that example, you've got stunts, senior citizens who are living legends doing stunts down a street in Brooklyn where the crowd has formed because they're doing it. Paparazzi are there because it's happening, and then you have like 100-person crew, and it's very, very. Of course, that's hard shit.
That's hard shit.
That's advanced.
And those are moments where you feel like, oh my God, I'm going to let everybody down. I'm going to let it,
Right. That's when you have to just
prep the shit out of it.
You prep the shit out of it, and you roll with the punches, and it's hard. There was a night shot scene. There was a big all-nighter shoot on A Good Person with Morgan Freeman, if you know from the movie, when they go to the party and then they have the fight out front. That was really tough because, you're asking Morgan Freeman, who was 83 or 84 at the time, to not only be up all night, but to bring it all night long, which is tough for any actor, let alone someone at that age. Yeah. And that was very stressful. That was really stressful.
Do you have the relationships now where you could just text Morgan or call him or Harrison Ford?
Yeah, I don't. Harrison, I don't text, but we are. But we are buddies. He's really sweet. He's that's been a really cool one. Directing him on Shrinking, he really likes me, and that feels great. That he.
How do you know he likes you?
He told me.
Wait a minute. What Harrison Ford said?
He said I'm really enjoying working on this show, and you're a big part of that.
That was pretty good too. I can't do a Harrison Ford. I tried. It's like, look, kid. That's all I
he's he's gruff as hell, but I know that he likes me, and
that's important.
Yeah, that feels good.
We want people to like us.
Well, we want people to like us, but we also we have to deliver, right? You can't just be
likable.
You can't just be passive and likable and turning in shit. You have to. I have to deliver good episodes of Shrinking. It's such a competitive field out there, and to be honored with being given an episode, I can't just like suck it up and not want to piss anyone off. You gotta deliver. You gotta turn an episode that you're proud of, and part of that is saying to Harrison like, oh, we gotta go again, and here's why. And
now, yeah, that's probably not that easy all the time.
No, but he's funny about it. These guys, he'll be like. I'll be like, it's hard, for those of your audience who don't know, you never want to give an actor a line reading. That is, especially.
I love them. I'd rather you not waste your time and just say, hey, Zach, tell me what you want me to say. How you want, inflection on that? Great. Got it. Let's do it. Let's get it.
I'm a similar way, depending on who it is. If it's someone I know and love and they're tiptoeing around it, I'm like, just fucking say how you want me to say it. But as a director, people do look down upon it. They don't like it.
Of course.
And he, mostly joking, if you start to kind of get into a little bit of tiptoeing there, he'd be like, you giving me a line reading? You're giving me a line reading? And I'm like, no. I'm just saying, sort of underline the word that, maybe. Just hit that a bit, But it's all done with fun.
I mean, do you ever have a moment where with one of these big actors, you don't have to say which one, but like where that you just don't agree on what's going on and you have to kind of talk it out?
Yeah, I've had that. Not the ones we've been talking about, but there was a gentleman who I won't say was way trickier, and that's the skill set. I mean, you're not always gonna be on the same page with everyone. So
did you stick to your guns?
I did as much as I could. At a certain point, you have to make your day and be like, this is crazy. We have to move on from this scene. It is what it is.
And then you're saying, I'm not working with that guy again.
Well. Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. I mean,
you definitely, one thing you learn after doing this for 24 years, I've been doing this since 2000. Although I actually was a kid actor. I did some stuff as a kid actor. But one thing you learn is like someone who's you're not going to get along with is going to ruin the whole experience. So it's super important to work with people that you like.
Now, I'm not going to get into it because you probably don't want to talk about it anyway, but obviously your relationship with Florence, I'm not going to, you probably don't want, but I know you're really close friends still.
Yeah, we're great.
Great friends. Now, were you dating when the movie was being made?
Yeah, and I wrote the movie during COVID. We were doing lockdown together. We were together, and the inspiration for the story came, and I also wanted to write something for her just because I was just so in awe of her. And so that was sort of the genesis of the script.
Right.
A pandemic and lockdown, and I lost one of my best friends to COVID, and I had people die. I had a lot of death in like a 4-year period, and so I wanted to write about standing back up after tragedy and after heartbreak, and I wanted to work with Florence. So I sort of during the pandemic and during lockdown, I wrote it for her, and then eventually I knew Morgan from the previous movie, and I offered it to him. I had this vision that it was, an incredible ingenue with a living legend. That's sort of lost in translation feeling of Bill Murray and Scarlett Johansson. That was sort of an inspiration. So that was sort of how it began. And Morgan said yes, and
Immediately.
Yeah. By the time I didn't think Morgan would say yes, because he doesn't normally do zero budget indies. But I would say he had it for about 4 days, maybe max.
Wow.
And he called me. We were in my house, and the phone rang, and Florence held up my phone, and it said Morgan Freeman across it. And
your heart starts beating.
I couldn't believe it. And he said, "I'm with you." He said, I remember this. I'll never forget it. He said, "I see myself on every page of this script." And I was like, "Does that mean it's a yes?" And he goes, "Yes, I'm with you."
That is freaking awesome. But what's also awesome is you wrote a part for him that I haven't seen him play. You know what I mean? This is a character that he's not so sweet and saccharine, and he's got a lot of flaws.
Yeah.
And he becomes aware of them. And it just mirrors us as a society, how, whether it's our fathers or ourselves or our friends, things that we have bottled inside, and we're hard-headed and we don't want to admit certain things and just ask for forgiveness. And he was a tough character, but one that you love. You fell in love with. That's how I felt.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think part of that is he trusted me and I could push him. I think Morgan is intimidating to a lot of people. And I think I knew that I had to have the courage to push him to go deeper than he's gone in a long time. He does a lot of parts, think of how extraordinary he was in movies we love, like Shawshank and Glory and so many others. I think I felt as a major fan of his, like, I want to see you bring it again.
Yeah.
And to do that, I'm going to have to push you in a way that's you probably aren't used to doing in the last couple of years in your 80s, but he let me do it, and he's extraordinary in the movie.
Do you think if you and Florence had broken up before the movie, it would have been just as easy?
No, I think
Are you?
No, I think that would have been hard. Yeah.
You still would have done it.
I hope so. I mean, she's such a good human being. I imagine she wouldn't have dropped out, but no, I don't recommend directing someone you've just broken up with. No.
Yeah, no.
I think that would be tricky just because it's so emotional. I mean, it's so hard and stressful, period, directing a movie in 25 days. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. And then idea of folding an emotional, hurricane on top of that would have been impossible. I think.
Yeah. And look, I know you lost your father in 2018. You talk about all these losses. How close were you?
Very close. He's the whole reason I'm in the business. My father was a lawyer, but he loved theater. Not only would I grew up in South Orange, New Jersey, which is 45 minutes from Manhattan. So not only would he take us in to see all the plays, but he would do, when he could, the local community theater play. And he was good. He was very good. And so it was both seeing him in the local plays and going in to see Broadway that just gave me the bug. It was kind of our thing we did together. With my other brother, Josh, for example, they bonded over baseball, and with me, we bonded over our passion and love of theater. And then at a certain point, he found this theater camp called Stage Door Manor, where, because I had no interest in other camp stuff. He was like, well, do you have these camps where you can go away and be in plays? And I was like, what? And then I went to this camp, and that really sealed the deal. I was like, oh, this is something I love. This is my passion.
So he always supported you.
Absolutely.
Watched everything you did.
Oh, I did a Broadway show. I think he came, over a dozen times. He was my champion, my biggest
and you
champion.
need that. Like, not everybody has that.
No, I was very lucky to have both of my parents never said, what the hell are you doing? Never said how, go get a real job. They were both champions of me pursuing this pretty crazy career path.
And how did you deal with the loss? Like,
it was so hard. I think I tried to be grateful for the time I had. He was 84. It was incredibly painful, but I felt grateful. I just tried to focus on gratitude that he made it as long as he did.
Yeah. Did you think Garden State? I mean, it's a stupid question, maybe, but did you think?
No stupid question.
Did you think, I've got something here? I think this is going to be a big success.
No.
Or was it just like, I just want to make this movie?
It was, I just want to make this movie. It was really kind of like, I want to make my first movie so I can make more
Have
movies.
some of your coffee, by the way.
Why? I've been sipping it.
Have you? I didn't even notice.
It's actually good.
Yeah, not bad. Thanks.
Do you have like a barista?
Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just a Dunkin' Donuts saucer thing. What do they call them? A Keurigs?
I thought you might have this is such a fancy podcast. I thought there might be like a barista.
What's so fancy about it? I got an Evil Dead poster behind
No,
you.
it's just, you have like cameras and a mixing board. And
Well, I want it to look as good as possible.
it looks great.
Thanks.
Mine looks like shit.
But, you already have an audience.
Mine's over Zoom.
Mine's over Zoom.
I had no idea that I really was just trying to make a movie and get a movie made so I could make more movies. And when it got into Sundance, I was like, oh, that's really cool. Maybe some people will actually see it now. And then the reaction coming out of Sundance was so crazy, and that ultimately was life-changing.
That's awesome.
It's actually the 20th year anniversary of Garden State this year, so we're doing a couple special things.
Doing a little screening, perhaps.
It's the 20th year anniversary, so it's just kind of it's crazy to think looking back on it now.
It's amazing. I mean, your first movie, and it's that.
Yeah. I
what if it wasn't? What if it was a bomb? Would you still say, "Fucking, I'm going to do it again"?
I think I expected it to not have a huge, not become this cult hit. So I didn't. Everything that happened with it was surprising, And then
Did you get a little ego at all? Did you feel like, how about that?
I did, probably because I think I had a chip on my shoulders because everybody had passed on it. I mean, everybody had passed on it. In fact, it was funded privately by a guy who made a fortune, Gary Gilbert, who made a fortune in the mortgage business. He was the only person who believed in it enough to put his own money down. I think he invested $2.75 million or something, and he was the only one, and everyone with a phone and a desk in town passed on it. So to come out of Sundance with a big sale, and then to have it go on to do what it did and win all these awards, it definitely was gratifying. It definitely felt like felt good.
Yeah. Inside of You is brought to you by Qualia Mind. This stuff works. I use this stuff, and I'm going to tell you about it before Qualia Mind was even a sponsor. I sent it to my mom, who is now thinking clearly, has more energy, focused, so much better. She loves it. I love it. And so many people are using this. Our sponsor, Qualia, combines 28 of the most research-backed nootropic ingredients on Earth into the ultimate brain fuel formula, Qualia Mind. And it's been changing people's lives for years now.
The formula is non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, and the ingredients are meant to complement one another, factoring in each ingredient's effect on helping to support mental clarity.
And you know what I love about this, Ryan? It's backed by a 100-day money-back guarantee. They're putting their money where their mouth is. You have almost 3 months to try Qualia Mind at no financial risk and decide for yourself. I don't know why you wouldn't give this a shot. It certainly has helped me a lot. I feel like I have better memory, motivation, discipline to get things done. What else? Productivity, mental clarity. It's a great product.
See what the best brain fuel formula on earth can do for your mindset. Go to qualialife.com/IOU for up to $100 off Qualia Mind. And as a listener of Inside of You, use code IOU at checkout for an additional 15% off any purchase. For your convenience, Qualia Mind is also available at select GNC locations near you.
That's qualialife.com/IOU and use code IOU for an additional 15% off to experience life-changing mental performance from Qualia Mind. These statements and products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or condition. If you had to choose between film and theater, act on stage or act in film?
I act on film. Acting theater is wonderful. It's very hard. It's very isolating. You do 8 shows a week and you can't really have a life. I have found, because you do the play and then you go out with friends after maybe, and then you kind of sleep late, and then you can't go to dinner with anyone. You're very isolating from your friend groups and from relationships. I love it, and I can't wait to do it again. But you have to do it selectively, because it's very hard doing 8 shows a week. Acting in film, I love, and I find I just feel so lucky every time I get a chance to do it.
What about creating a series? You ever thought of creating a series and directing it?
I would love to do that. When I write, I shouldn't say this as a rule. I don't typically think of things that are episodic. I think of, like, I have this little story to tell. I would have to collaborate with someone to think about how to make something into 10 episodes. I guess you could say, well, Zach, you're just writing a 10-hour story. But that's not true, because each of those episodes has to have its own arc and its own
cliffhanger,
dun-dun-dun ending. And that's not normally how my brain thinks. When I come up with an idea, it's like, oh, I have a cool little 2-hour story. But if I had a great partner, someone who wrote more like that, I think we'd be a good partnership. I would love to do it. When I see like Mike White, what he's doing.
Oh yeah,
I would love to do that. But I feel like he's way more prolific than I am. It's hard for me to write.
That show was an anomaly, wasn't it? It's just kind of like, yeah.
It is, just because he has his own specific tone. And I mean, I guess Chris Storer is doing this with Bear too. A very specific tone. You're writing them, you're directing them. You have to be really prolific.
How about Reindeer Game? What is it? Reindeer?
Yeah, that was incredible.
Oh my God.
Not Reindeer Games.
Not Reindeer Games. The Reindeer?
Baby
Reindeer.
Baby Reindeer. Yeah. Well, that's extra insane, because the guy was reliving his own trauma.
Yeah. You're like, I don't want to do that.
Oh, I don't want to relive some traumatic aspects of my life and play myself. That sounds crazy.
Yeah.
But good for him, because it worked out. I mean, people lost their minds over that show.
With all this stuff you're doing, man, I can't believe, on top of it, you have your pilot's license.
Yeah.
Well, when do you have time to do that? How? And this isn't something you can just do on weekends for a couple hours. This takes a long time.
Yeah. In fact, I let it lapse because you have to do it so much, and I wasn't being good about flying all the time. I always loved planes. When I was a kid and making models, I would make fighter jets and planes. I've always gravitated towards them. And then we used to get gift bags as actors. You remember this, back in the glory days of the gift bag. There'd be these insane gift bags. At a certain point, someone said that you should probably tax them. And then so it all stopped, because they were giving you these gift bags. Anyway, this is, I digress. In a gift bag one day, at some event, I got a experience your first flight lesson certificate. And I went, and it was so cool. but the plane was really rickety. And I remember thinking, I don't feel safe. I am curious about this, but I don't feel safe in this plane.
Did you go up in it?
Yeah, I did the experience.
Oh, you did the experience.
Yeah. But the experience was fun and it was cool and I was intrigued. But I thought I would take lessons if it was like in a new state-of-the-art plane. I don't want to learn in this rickety ass.
This isn't a gift bag. What the hell you want from these people? What, are they going to fly you in a Concorde?
So I researched it, and I had learned that Angelina Jolie at the time had just gotten her pilot's license in this very advanced, state-of-the-art plane called a Cirrus that has a ballistic parachute. If all goes to shit and you're truly out of ideas and you're fucked, you cut the engine and you pull the chute, and it floats the entire plane. It's a fiberglass 4-seater to the ground. Your audience can look up this deployment on YouTube and see.
I feel safe just thinking about it.
So I thought I'll learn in that plane.
Yeah.
And so I found a school at Van Nuys that teaches solely, shout out Mach 1 aviation if you want to learn. And I learned how to fly. I got my pilot's license in that plane.
Could I do it if I'm colorblind? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No, I can't.
Are you colorblind?
Yeah, I'm colorblind.
I don't want to answer that. Your team should Google that.
Ryan,
Google
can
that.
you be a pilot if you're colorblind?
I don't know the answer to that. I would think no.
Because you look in the ground and there's green or orange.
Or you also need to read the screens, which have a lot of color-coded information.
Yeah, I wouldn't be good. I can't differentiate many colors. Like
Really?
I fail miserably when I take those colorblind tests.
Yeah.
It says yes.
Really?
I'll have to do
I'm certainly not a commercial pilot. I'm certain, but a private pilot.
How many
yes.
hours
For me, how many do I have?
did it take to get?
Oh, I mean, you can do it at all different speeds. I mean, I took a long time because, but there's people that race through it. You can do like intensive, courses and do it in probably 2 months.
So how many hours do you have under your belt?
Again, I've stopped because I got into other things, but I think I probably have 400 or 500 hours.
That's a lot of hours.
Yeah.
But you could, if you're on a
But
plane,
I want to get back into it. I
Yeah.
really miss it. I got a little bit. To be safe, obviously, you have to do it very often. At least I would think, if not every weekend, every other weekend. And I just got busy with life, doing other things, and I just didn't feel safe doing it, so I stopped. But if I get to a place in my life where I can fly regularly and be on it, I'd love to get back into it.
you're the next Harrison Ford.
He's major though, dude. He's flying jets and choppers. And
Yeah.
that's his sole passion. And he's he leaves shrinking to go do like recurrent training in jets. I mean, he's the real deal still.
Well, what if, for instance, you're on American Airlines
Go ahead.
and the pilot happens to be Morgan Freeman, and you hear through the loudspeaker, "Listen, we're going to need someone who knows how to fly a plane.
Is there anyone who knows how to fly?
Is there anyone who knows how to fly a plane?"
No. I mean,
Would you say if no one else did, you'd give it a shot?
I would give it a shot because those planes usually have autoland. So I think I would know how to communicate with air traffic control in a way where I could say, hey, how do I turn on the fucking autoland?
Autoland isn't working.
I mean, I feel like the odds are there'd be someone who has more hours and more skill than I have. But if it was really just down to me, I would try. I would really try.
What's the biggest challenge you've had in your career?
Well, I don't know. That's a tricky question. I mean, I think just even being able to make a living in this industry is is tricky. So just getting the break that was Scrubs felt like a lottery win. I think just getting your foot in the door is the hardest thing, don't you? I mean, it's so hard. There's so many talented people who don't get a break. So I just feel that the most challenging thing is getting your foot in the door.
Yeah.
And then you can hopefully keep the momentum going. I mean, a lot of people can and don't, but we both know so many talented people that have yet to get a break.
Yeah.
And people don't know their name. You'll go see a play and be like, oh my God,
How is
this person not a household name? I was a kid actor and I would go do play readings, which is, they're trying to produce a play and they have a bunch of actors sit around a table or at music stands in front of a small audience. They're trying to raise money for the play. And even as a kid in my teens, I would see like, I've never seen such a good actor at this play reading. And I have no idea who that 40-year-old, 50-year-old man is. That was terrifying to me.
Do you ever
as
remember,
a teenager?
Do you ever remember actors from either if it's a show, a movie, a play, and write their name down and think I'm going to bring him in at least for something I'm directing or producing?
I don't write it down, but make mental notes, of course. Or even just watching people in a small part, or definitely in the theater. I go, I want to work with this person. This person's amazing. Or I'll see someone in a supporting part, or I'll even mention it. I don't create nearly as much content as someone like my friend Bill Lawrence, who's casting shows nonstop. I'll say, like, you got to check out this person. You got to find something for this person. Look how amazing they are. I definitely am doing that kind of, like, keeping track of people.
How insatiable are you?
What do you mean?
I mean, how much is enough? Do you ever, I know you have to work. I know you want to work because otherwise you'll go crazy.
Yeah, I like to work.
But can you look now at yourself sort of and say, hey, you did it. If it all ended right now, I'm proud of what I did and it's enough. I'm enough.
I think so. I mean, I don't want to because, like I said, I'm way happier when I'm working. But I feel like, if I had to stop for some reason, I think I've had some good wins, and I feel like I've made some cool things. And I could, go do something else.
What would you do? If you didn't act or direct or were in the entertainment industry, what would you do?
I really like design. I think I think I'd be really good at flipping houses, like designing houses and flipping them.
That's cool. That's an art.
I don't mean like house flipper, like, oh, we put down linoleum. I mean like at a high level, like building and designing houses. I really like that.
That's
I did
cool.
that myself for my own house, and I enjoyed it so much, and I think I did a good job. So I feel like that could be in another life. That could have been my career.
What
architecture, design, that kind of thing. Probably just travel and explore.
I'd probably want to get into baseball announcing or hockey announcing, be an announcer for a hockey game.
You'd be good at that.
I'd love to do that.
You play hockey, right?
Yeah, I love it. It's so laid back.
I was going, I've never been a big sports guy, but I was in New York during the when the Rangers were doing
That's
so
my
well.
team.
And I had friends that were dialed in at MSG, and I went like 4 times.
Best time
I
ever.
had
Electric.
Electric. I had never been, since I was a teenager and in the nosebleeds, I had never been to a hockey game well, first of all, I'd never been to a hockey game in MSG when the Rangers were killing it. It was so fucking fun. And this is coming from someone who doesn't really follow sports. Being there and the energy and the fact that the game never really stops, I really love that aspect of it.
It's like they're not only doing all these things and stopping on a dime, they're on blades and they're hitting and they're moving and the speed and the shots.
But there's no real
saves.
I like there's no real
there's no
downtime.
downtime. I was watching a soccer game last night. I go, nothing happened for an hour and a half.
I really enjoyed it.
Nothing.
And the crowd is so insane. And
it is.
The crowd at MSG.
From the national anthem, the baritone guy, and everybody's going nuts.
They go nuts.
Nuts.
And I loved it.
Yeah.
I can't wait to do that more.
Yeah.
It's funny when I have a place in New York City, and Manhattan is so fun because I can ride my bike and be at MSG in like 11 minutes.
I know.
And LA is the polar opposite. Like, to do anything, you have to have a plan. You have to avoid traffic. No one walks anywhere. Everything has to be sort of thought out.
Yeah.
Whereas New York, my buddy's like, hey, I got tickets to the Rangers game. You want to come? I'll see you in 2 hours. I'm like, yeah, just hop on my bike, lock it. I'm at MSG in 12 minutes.
It's true. It is true. Inside of You is brought to you by Shopify. Everyone should have Shopify. If you have a small business, Ryan, a business, a middle-sized business, Shopify, they're the place to go.
From the launch your online shop stage to the first real life store stage, all the way to the did we just hit 1 million orders stage, Shopify is there to help you grow.
Yes, and grow, they will help you do. Because I have been on Shopify for both podcasts, and I have a page, and it's so easy to navigate. You can see which products you're selling are doing well, which aren't, how many you've sold for the month, how much you're making. You could add a new product anytime. It's simple. It's so simple to use. Even I can do it. Shopify, you have got to give these guys a shot. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor outfits, Shopify helps you sell everywhere. From their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system, wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify has got you covered.
And sell more with less effort thanks to Shopify Magic, your AI-powered all-star.
Plus, Shopify's extensive help resources are there to support your success every step of the way, because businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/inside, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/inside now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/inside. How do you stay mentally healthy? How do you? I see you walking all the time. We live close to each other. You're always walking. You're always sweating. Like you're not just walking. You're breaking a sweat.
Well, we live on a hill, so it's hot.
Yes.
I like to walk. I'm not a big runner. I like to listen to music and podcasts and walk, and I like that. That feels good. Not to sound like another one of these Hollywood people, but I really have gotten into sauna and cold plunging. That really is like a mental health hack for me. I notice that it makes me feel better.
It does. You know what it is with the plunge? And it's uncomfortable and you're cold. But when you get out, you feel like you're revitalized for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
I just feel like I'm awake.
It's awake, and also there is an endorphin hack that
Yes.
and I saw someone on a podcast say it's the hardest, unless you have something really challenging happen that day or different than the norm. Getting into 45-degree water is the hardest thing you're going to do that day. So you sort of conquer the hard thing first thing in the morning, and then everything else is sort of easier.
I saw someone quoted this, someone smarter than I am. But it was so simple that I could have come up with it, and it meant so much. And the quote was like, "Do something every day that sucks. Do something every day that sucks." Meaning you don't want to do it. It's cold. I have to do this. I have to. And I just thinking about that, because we're always thinking, I don't want to do, I'll do that. I don't want to do that. I'll do that later. Or then that's a pain in the ass. Or going on a hike. Just do that one thing, whatever it is. Go on a hike, go on a fucking cold plunge, go in a sauna for 20 minutes. Do something you don't really want to do. And I don't know why that sat with me, but it did. It made me want to just get up and go, okay, this sucks. I don't want to do it. Okay, we know you don't want to do it. Just do it.
Yeah, I think, and also there's something about the cold plunge that I think about in my other aspects of life, that when I'm walking towards it, I don't stop. I don't delay. I just get in and get under the water. And then
Under the water.
Well, I dunk my head and then I sit, with just my neck out. But my point is that it informs other things in your life. When you're going to have that conversation you're dreading, I don't stop. I just go for it. I do it. When there's something you're dreading in real life, I think of that. It gives you this little.
See, that's good too.
It gives you this little mental touchstone that you're like, don't stop. You're gonna feel so good after. Just do it. And I think about that. My nephew, who I'm like, trying to help him in all aspects of his life. He's young and dating in Manhattan and nervous asking girls out. And he came in cold plunge, and I was like, this is how you use this analogy when you're nervous to walk up to the woman and ask her out. You just do it. You see how you didn't stop. You got in the cold plunge and you did it, and it was terrifying, but you survived it and you feel good. So I was like trying to be his Mr. Miyagi on asking women out.
Do you? That's awesome. That's a good analogy. Do you do that with everything in terms of fear? If you fear something, if you're like, oh, I don't know if I could do it. Do you ever get that still when you get cast in something, like go through this, stages? People will say, I can't do it. I'm nervous. I don't know. And then you start to understand it and then get into it.
Yeah, I think it's great when you're terrified of it.
You do.
Oh yeah. Whenever I get a big job or something important to me, I'm scared of it. I mean, when I'm about to go, I finished directing 2 episodes of Shrinking. They were big episodes, and and I've directed a lot of TV at this point. I'm still scared. I'm still going, holy shit, these are big episodes. I gotta bring it.
Yeah.
And wow, Harrison Ford has this insane tough scene with so-and-so, and I gotta bring it. I always get nervous, but that's fun. I look forward to it.
That's great. I wouldn't say I look forward to it. I think it takes time for me to get
A play, like I want to do another play. It's been on my mind, and I read one that I really liked, and it was such a hard part. I was like, wow, if this happens and I get this, I'm going to do this tough ass role 8 times a week, but it's invigorating to me.
How do you direct one episode of Ted Lasso and get nominated for an Emmy? I mean, it's like, hey, I'm going to direct a movie and it's going to be huge. I'm going to direct an episode of Ted Lasso and it's going to be an Emmy award. You know what I mean? That's pretty, I mean, look, it's talent. It's not just luck, obviously. It's skill, but it's like, but those are, for that to happen, a lot has to happen.
Thank you. I don't know. It's funny with Lasso happened. I didn't know that. I had no idea that show was going to become the phenomenon. I was dating Florence and I was in England, and Bill was like, "Hey, since you're going to be over here, do you want to direct an episode of my new show? It's really funny."
You said yes immediately?
Yeah, because I wasn't doing anything, and I was just hanging out. I think Florence was working on Black Widow or something, and I was like, "Oh, this will be fun." I'd only seen the Jason Sudeikis. I think they were ESPN ads. Was that what they were?
I think so. Yeah,
I'd only seen, or whatever they were an ad for. It was for football.
It was an NBC ad to get Americans to watch Premier League sports.
There you go. I'd only seen those, and obviously Sudeikis is hilarious, and I thought they were funny. And then I was like, okay, this will be cool. And then it really worked out. I mean, I that episode, the pilot of Lasso has so much to set up. It really had a heavy lift. That episode 2 was really cool. It's the one about the biscuits, for people who remember that. It was the one that really kind of introduced the audience to, like, oh no, this show's also going to break your heart. So that was cool. I was given a really good one.
That's awesome. A good person. I know you're crazy about this movie too.
Yeah, I'm so passionate about this movie. I think, in what we do in this day and age as creators, now more than ever, it's a long haul for getting anyone to see your work. There's so much. I was lying around on the couch watching streaming stuff yesterday on Sunday, like everyone, like a lot of people, I'm sure. And you're just sifting through so much content. And so I was thinking, now you put something out, it isn't just like the big hype of I put it out, check it out. When you're passionate about something, nowadays it's like you can be plugging it your whole life. I mean, I'm so passionate about A Good Person. When people see it and they have the reactions like you did, you wrote me a beautiful text message. It makes me reinvigorated to keep plugging and keep asking people to check it out, because I'm really proud of it. And things that get released on Prime, for example, it's free on Prime. You have your little window. It happened to be Christmas. It was crazy. A Good Person was finally free on Prime during the Christmas holiday. And it went to number 1 on Prime, which was insane. And then all the Christmas movies start rolling out, new ones, an Eddie Murphy one, and also the classics. And I was like, oh, well, we're out of the top 10. And then all of Christmas, it was in the top 10 with just the Christmas movies. It was the only non-Christmas movie. And so, which was insane. And the person at Amazon who's in charge of this stuff called me and said, being in the top 10 Christmas on Prime means just an insane amount of people are watching your movie. Yeah. So that made me feel great that it was being seen on that level, and it made me inspired to keep pushing and have people check it out.
Well, it's also difficult because I always say there's, like you said, there's so much content. And when you see a movie like this, you're like, people with the attention deficit disorder like me, and you just look at like, oh, this, and you're just going, you have so many choices, so many stream platforms. How do you focus on this movie and it's much more difficult nowadays. And so it's like,
I think it's like you have to be hit with it. And if you're listening to this is me asking you to check it out. But I think you have to be hit with something so many times that you go finally, like, all right, I gotta finally check that out. I mean, that's kind of how I see stuff. I'm like, okay, if one more person tells me I got to see X, Y, Z, I got to finally check it out. Yeah. So it's kind of like what they tried to do back in the day with old school advertising. There'd be a billboard, and then there'd be a bus stop ad, and then then there'd be the 30-second commercial in your nightly news, and you're like, okay, I've been hit enough times with this. I'm curious. I'm going to check it out.
Yeah.
But now it's like the long haul. It's a marathon, not a sprint in trying to get your stuff seen. Because I had a young director whose work I really like, and she DM'd me. She said, "I really love Garden State. I'm looking forward to checking out A Good Person." I'm like, this is a young filmmaker who loves Garden State, and she still hasn't seen A Good Person. I continue to campaign to be like,
I love it.
I really think I have something for you might like.
Yeah. It's funny because you text me and I'm on my way to the airport pretty much. And you're like, hey, have you seen A Good Person? And I was like, no. And then I was like, well, I'm about to talk to him on Monday morning. So before as I was packing for the airport, I was like, I have time, so I sat there and watched it. And I had no idea that it was going to hit me like that. It's like this wave of emotion. And again, I think especially, we talk about mental health on this podcast. We talk about facing adversity. We talk about overcoming things. And it just, I couldn't believe it was uncontrollable. It was therapeutic for me.
Thank you.
It was therapeutic.
Thank you.
And the second I heard, I won't spoil it, but there's just that moment where you hear someone's voice.
No spoilers.
No spoilers allowed. Anyway, see A Good Person.
Thank you. Thank you for those kind words.
Do you get starstruck? Probably not now.
I do.
Like who would you get starstruck over now? They've done Harrison Ford, Morgan Freeman, Alan Arkin, Michael Caine. Like who would make you starstruck? De Niro, Pacino.
I worked with
you
De Niro.
worked with De Niro. That's
I worked with De Niro, and I know Pacino. Pacino does this like insider baseball screening thing. Have you heard about this?
No.
I got to invite you to this.
Please.
Pacino has this like thing he does just for like friends and family that you just have to get into the network. But he screens his movies and then does a Q&A after them at like small screening rooms in LA.
What?
I sat next to him for Glengarry Glen Ross and watched Glengarry Glen Ross.
Most train compartment. What does he say? That was Freeman. He's like, most train compartments smell vaguely as shit.
Yeah.
What? That's Glengarry Glen Ross,
Yes.
right?
That's Alec Baldwin. Put that coffee down. I love Glengarry.
I love it.
I sat next to him for that. I saw Godfather 1 with him.
And you just ask him questions.
Literally. And it's like 40 people. And it's not for like money or anything. It's just
and then he just hangs out.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that long. He does like a solid 25, 30 minutes after of just anyone asking him questions.
That's beautiful.
It's amazing.
That would make my dreams come true.
Well, I'll
if you
invite
ever
you.
ask me, I won't embarrass you, I promise.
But and then De Niro, I had the most frustrating thing happen. I made a really cool movie with De Niro, and I had a big part. I was basically co-leads with him. It was a great movie. It took place in the 70s. Actually, if you're listening to this and you're not in the United States, it's called The Comeback Trail. And it was a really big deal for me, a big part. It was, and then they're stuck in a lawsuit with the domestic distribution, so it never came out in the United States because they're in this crazy.
I remember the trailer; it was hilarious. It was so much fun.
Oh, dude! It.
I remember you telling me you went over his house.
Yeah, I went over his house for dinner. I was dating Florence, and he invited us over for dinner at his house.
Was it uncomfortable?
No, he couldn't be nicer. He's a sweet man, and he's got dozens of little dogs. He and his wife are very into little dogs. So there's just all these little tiny, like I'm not exaggerating when I say there's like a dozen, like guinea pig sized dogs running around.
Yeah, you could pick him up.
No, he's sweet. Anyway, it's so frustrating because this was a big deal for me, this movie, and I've got these awesome scenes with De Niro, and I'm like screaming at him, and I'm going toe to toe with him. It was going to be. I really thought it was going to be.
It's going to come out. It's going to happen.
I don't know. I mean, that's what can happen in this business. It's so frustrating. You get a huge break like that, and then. And I just can't wait, like, for my fans and my friends and my family to see me in this moment. And then it's like, no, there's this huge lawsuit with the domestic distribution. It's never come out in the United States, but you can watch it if you live elsewhere.
That's so frustrating.
Yeah, it's tough.
Can I watch? Do you have it?
You can't even watch it streaming. Obviously, it's like it would have been one thing if it's like, oh, it never came out theatrically. You can stream it.
Do you have a Blu-ray I can watch?
I don't have it.
Fuck. It's going to come out.
When you're visiting another country, maybe use their local streaming
Seriously.
service.
All right, this is rapid fire. This is it. Shit talking with Zach Braff. It's my top tier patrons that get to ask questions. You can answer them, or rapid fire.
I can say pass if I don't like it.
If you sure,
Huh.
you can pass. Patreon.com/Inside if you want to support the podcast. Thanks. Little Lisa, what is the biggest lesson life has taught you so far?
That you have no control over.
Like what you just were talking about, about you have no control over certain things, right?
Yeah, that you just have absolutely no control, and the more you can sort of go with the flow, you can aim the ship, but you have no idea what happens, and trying to control the future is going to drive you crazy.
Leanne, what is one piece of advice you wish you received early on in your career?
That if you don't go balls out for every single audition, there's 10,000 people that are. So you can't phone it in. I think there was a beginning of my career, I was not memorizing the sides. I was going out and partying the night before. I wasn't, I think I'm so lucky that I had success, but I think now when I'm on the other side of the table, and someone is doing a phoned in audition, they don't have a chance. And
you want them to be off book. You want them
absolutely.
to be solid.
Being off book's not even a question, but also you have to be great. You have to have a good person who's reading with you. And I can just tell you, if you're an actor listening, that, if you're not doing that, so many hundreds and hundreds of other people are, that your lottery ticket is very limited. The other people have a whole lot more lottery tickets.
That is profound.
I think it's important for actors to know that. I had a lot of epiphanies when I started being on the other side of the table about being an actor and auditioning.
Raj, tell me about a recent time you told or showed someone how much you appreciated them.
Oh, I mean, there's a guy named Brian Klugman who's become a really good friend of mine, and he's the one who comes up with all these T-Mobile commercials that Donald and I have been doing. And I tell him I love him every single day. He not only has he become a good friend, but he so thought Donald and I were funny that this whole campaign is just his idea, like built around me and Donald. And every time T-Mobile is like, all right, should we do something else? He's like, no, I want to keep doing Zach and Donald commercials. So
that's awesome.
It's been a great, that's been beyond the doing the ads, and it's just been an awesome friendship. And so I tell him every day how much I appreciate him.
Mike F., at what point in your life did you feel like you finally made it?
I think when I got financially stable and thought like, oh, I'd have to really fuck shit up to, I'd have to like buy crypto money and make really bad choices at this point.
I have to be 8-balling if this is gonna.
Yeah, I'd have to be spending this on below to really fuck it up.
Nancy D., what is the project that you were super proud of that no one really ever asks about?
Wish I Was Here is a movie I wrote with my brother Adam. It's with Kate Hudson, Manny Patinkin, Josh Gad, and it just kind of disappeared. I don't think it ever got much love. I definitely see things in it that aren't perfect, and they're my fault. But I think if you like Garden State and you like the kind of stuff I make, you'd like Wish I Was Here.
It's honest. It's another. This has been awesome.
What was this room designed for, you think?
This was like a little bedroom. It was just a small bedroom, and then it was a workout room that just never saw the light of day. I never worked out, and so that didn't work. So I got rid of everything, and then the podcast originally was just audio, and I did that in the living room. And then I thought, if I'm going to do this, maybe I should do it right.
You really leveled up with this space.
Yeah, you've been saying that.
Have you watched Ripley?
No, is it good?
It's excellent.
Why do you?
I want to plug a show that's not mine.
Why?
Well, I was just thinking of making.
I want to plug a show that's not mine.
I loved Ripley. I think the cinematography is the best cinematography I've ever seen on television.
Wow.
And Andrew Scott is someone that I really want to work with. I think he's a phenomenal actor. And
that's nice of you to plug a show.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll plug a show.
Check out Ripley.
I can't think of that.
I'm also really liking, not only am I liking House of Dragons. You watch House of Dragons?
Mm-hmm. I'm only 2 episodes in.
Oh, well then I won't.
Because so far it's
not that I would give spoilers, but
I didn't like episode 2. I felt like, how did they get up? Spoiler alert. But how did those guys get up and there's no guards up to that room with the kids? There's just no guards there. There's nobody there.
Okay, well, calm down.
Okay, sorry. Sorry.
I want to say, do you watch that Companion Behind the Scenes series?
No.
if you're in the business and you're a filmmaker and you're interested in any way in production, they have this companion series. After each episode, there's like a 20-minute.
Oh, I watched those yes, I used to watch those.
They're incredible. I mean, because no one is spending this kind of money on stuff anymore.
No.
I mean, the amount of money that was spent on Game of Thrones and House of Dragons and the details in set, in costume, in props, it's just not a thing that happens anymore. Maybe on like Marvel movies, but it's just so awesome to see the amount of craftsmanship that is going into these episodes. So you watch the episode, and then I encourage people to go watch the companion behind the scenes, because it's just fascinating and it just gets you so geeked to make stuff.
I love Dahmer. I thought that series was incredible.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything so dark, and like it just felt like you felt like you were there, like in the room. It just, I could smell the room.
Yeah.
It was that affected me. Woman of the Dead, I saw the first episode. It was really good. And it's not really horror, that one, because I love horror. What else? Reindeer, baby reindeer.
What's your favorite horror movie?
Look, I always think The Shining, because it's like, it's like that, quintessential. There's so many reasons. But I think the scariest movie, the more I think about it, and I saw it again, is the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's just so
You
raw.
like jump scare horror?
No, I think I like that wasn't really jump scare as much as it was maniacal, maybe real people that live in this small town that are just bad and insane, and it could happen to anyone, like The Strangers. It could happen to anyone. When I feel like it could happen to me,
right?
When it's grounded,
I like grounded. I like that too. I am not a big horror fan, but as a teenager, I remember seeing The Exorcist 3.
One of my favorite movies of all time. George C. Scott.
It's amazing.
It's one of my favorite movies of all time, and I tell people,
so
don't
funny.
watch 2. 3 was written by Blatty and directed by William Peter Blatty, who wrote The Exorcist and wrote Legion, the book Legion. And it's fantastic.
Not only is it fantastic,
scary.
It's fucking scary. And there's some crazy, I'm told that there's some crazy improv-y. Doesn't George C. Scott, is George C. Scott?
It is not in the files.
He has some improv, I think. Doesn't he have a long monologue related to a bathtub?
Yes.
And I think
about his mother-in-law.
The lore is that he just riffed it.
Yeah, I heard that too. He's like, my mother-in-law.
I don't know.
I was a fish. It's a carp. It's a nice fish. Nothing bad, but she puts it in the bathtub so it just stays fresh or something before we cook it. And so for the last week, I've had this carp swimming up and down in my bathtub, and I'm gonna kill it. And it's just, and then it cuts.
Yeah,
it's like this little speech.
Right.
It's brilliant.
I remembered this since I was a teenager, because I'm only mentioning it because I don't watch a lot of horror. I mean, I watch some, but not a lot. And I remember really liking that movie, and I'm really glad that it's one of your favorites.
How about Brad Dourif in that movie?
I don't know who that is.
Brad Dourif is the Gemini killer. He's like, you tell the press that I am the Gemini killer, or you will suffer, detective. You don't remember that?
No.
He's the one in the cell.
I only saw it once.
Good night, Moon. Good night.
We're selling a lot of people on seeing Exorcist 3.
I've sold them. This has been brilliant.
Thank you for having me. You're a wonderful host.
Thank you. I really, really adore you, and continued success.
Thank you for your love on my movie. It's like telling me my child is pretty, and I really appreciate it.
Well, it is pretty.
I don't have any children. I just have the movies I made.
See a good person. You will not be sorry. What a fantastic cast, story, shot, everything about it. So
thank you.
Thank you, Zach. Can I call you Zachary? He's like, no, don't ever call me that. Wonderful guest. And I hope you liked it. If you did, write a review and, give us 5 stars and tell us in the comments section if you liked it. You can listen and anywhere. You can watch on YouTube. We also have a YouTube clips channel. That's pretty awesome to check out some cool clips from guests.
He prefers Braffery.
Braffery. I'm Braffery. That sounds like a name that would be in Game of Thrones. Braffery Kent. Braffery Tontal. Braffery Tarley.
And he challenges someone to a duel and gets destroyed.
Yes, Braffery Tarley was destroyed in this duel. Right now, we're going to go to the top tiers and shout out all the people who really make this podcast possible by giving back. They go above and beyond. At the top tiers, they get their name shouted out. And join patreon.com/inside of you. Here they are: Nancy D, Leah and Kristin, Little Lisa, Yukiko, Jill E, Brian H, Nico P, Robert B, Jason W, Sophie M, Raj C, Jennifer N, Stacy L, Jamal F, Janelle B, Mike E, Eldon Supremo,
99 more, Santiago M, Leanne P, Maddie S, Belinda N, Dave H,
Dave Hole,
Brad D, Ray H, Tabitha T, Tom N, Talia M, Betsy D,
Rhiannon C, Corey K, Dev Nixon, Michelle A, Jeremy C, Mr. M, Eugene and Leah, The Salty Ham, Mel S, Eric H, Oracle, Amanda R, William K, Kevin E, Jarrell, Jammin J, Leanne J, Luna R, Mike F, Jules M, Jessica B,
Kaylee J, Charlene A, Marion Louise L, Romeo the Band, Frank B, Jen T, Nikki L, April RM, Randy S, Rachel D,
Jen, Carolina Girl, Nick W, Stephanie and Evan, Stefan, Charlene A, Don G, Jenny B 76, Jennifer R, Tina E, NG Tracy, Keith B, Heather and Greg, Ellie K, Elizabeth L, Ben B, Jammin, Pierre C, Sultan of Swing, Ingrid C, and Brandon C. Without you guys, I don't know what I'd do. I wouldn't be doing this podcast probably because you guys support it so much. So thank you. And thanks for being here today. We got great guests coming up. I really got some great guests. And I'm really happy about it. We just went into overdrive this last few weeks and did a lot of podcasts and a lot of great ones. And I'm really pumped for people to hear them. And this October, we've got some groovy ones.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Little Elvira.
Yeah, we've been on a little bit of a run here.
A little bit of a run.
Bit of a run. We got a lot coming up.
Yeah, we got a lot coming up, man. So thank you for listening. From the Hollywood Hills in Hollywood, California, I am Michael Rosenbaum.
I'm Ryan Tez. I'm here too.
Little wave to the camera. Hey, guys, we love you. Be good to yourself. We'll see you next week.